I am Brent Corcoran.
This is the story of the forester.
This is about water, this is about our food and our fibre and our livelihoods.
And of the conservationist guy.
I am Lindley, David Lindley. It's all about crossing boundaries, both physical and mental boundaries.
And the story of the people who bring the city water to drink.
My name is Neil McLeod. I was the head of Integrity Water and Sanitation for 22 years and recently retired.
This is also the story of those who give the city food to eat. The buyers and the sellers and the people who see the risks. And a whole thirsty city. And in the end, all this has to make good sense. Good environmental and good business sense.
We predominantly work with landowners to try and improve the way that water resources are managed, such as wetlands, rivers, riparian areas and groundwater. So we acknowledge that land users need to make a living from the land, but at the same time they can mitigate the impact of their activities on these freshwater ecosystems. So we work together with landowners to try and collaboratively improve management practices to try and increase the freshwater security in the river catchments that we work with, so that the land users downstream, be they city folk or other farmers, can have a continual supply of some water for everybody forever.
Okay, nginguNonhlanhla Luthuli uMesi. Ngumlimi osemncane, ngiqale ngo-2008. Ngisebenza ngokuyimela. Engikubonayo okuhle kulo msebenzi wokuba umlimi ukuthi uma ufuna imali awuyisweli ngoba usukwazi ukuthi imali uzoyithola khona la enhlabathini. Futhi kwenza ukuthi uyiqhenye ngoba kunezinto eziningi oyitholayo njengey'fundo ofundiswa zona.
We as family farmers, not just as dairy, but generally in KwaZulu-Natal, have land at heart. And if we have land at heart, we naturally have conservation at heart. And conservation practices within the family farming concept and environment is extremely important for us, so that we can conserve and protect what we have for our children, grandchildren, and the family down the line.
As plantation forestry sector in South Africa, and as Mondi is part of that sector, one of our major risks is water itself, the use of the water out of the system and the potential impact on its quality through sedimentation and other sources. So water security is a critical issue for South Africa as a whole. As a country, we have less than 500 millimeters average rainfall per year. And when we are growing trees in the highest rainfall areas in the country, we have to ensure that we have the lightest footprint possible on that water, whether it's in terms of its actual use or whether it's in the impact on its quality.
The resilient landscape approach that WWF South Africa is taking to improve the management of our water resources acknowledges that we can't just work with producers or farmers on the ground. The responsibility of water stewardship lies further up the value chain, with the other role players such as the retailers, the finance sector, as well as the insurance industry. These are sectors that play a very important role in supporting the producers. Financiers provide loans to the farmers, and the insurance industry insure the farmers and their crops against destruction. So they are very important role players in the value chain.
Water for us is a really big risk in South Africa. We are a water scarce country, and I think we realize that for us as a food retailer specifically, with a lot of our supply base being based in South Africa, we really are at risk if we don't address the water challenges that we have as a country, and if we don't start working with our suppliers to look at ways to protect water, both from a quantity and a quality point of view.
The Mngani River catchment supports the water demands of more than 4 million people. In order to meet the demand for that drinking water, it's necessary to take the polluted water in the Mngani and treat it. And that costs the region 1.2 billion rand a year. So if we can improve the water quality using natural processes, then we can reduce those costs and pass them on to our customers. By natural processes, I mean the use of wetlands, restoration of grasslands to prevent erosion, dealing with erosion of river banks, and that's quite severe in this region. Using nature generally to improve the water quality by reducing the amount of sediment and the amount of pollution that enters the watercourse.
We are one of the largest agricultural insurers in South Africa. The forestry sector is quite pivotal to us as well as our clients. Water and water security has a direct impact on our business.
Iy'ngqinamba zikhona, iy'ngqinamba esinazo-ke nje okwamanje ngokumhlaba amanzi. Usesikhathini sesomiso, kodwa thina endaweni esikuyona sinenhlanje ukuthi izulu seliyaqala ngokuna, kodwa into engiphathe kabi amanzi.
Agricultural viability and profitability is at an all-time low in South Africa, and if you have to start saving money and only spending money where it's necessary, unfortunately conservation is one of those areas that does get neglected. So within that whole context, we try and do as much as we can to contribute to conservation, and we do a lot of conservation work. We'd love to do a lot more, but the agricultural viability and the money that one needs to spend on doing that makes it very difficult for us to do that at the moment.
As Mondi, we have established a freshwater monitoring system as one of our interventions to understand the type of impacts that we're having on water resources that are in our areas. So we are in the process of trying to revamp that system at the moment, but essentially we look at freshwater quality as one of our main risks from sedimentation, and we look to understand our different management treatments for that risk through the monitoring we do, and to see whether those treatments are correct for the type of risks.
When it comes to better management practices, it also almost automatically means that it's a change in our ability and the farmer's ability or the client's ability to manage his risk. So if we use the example of improved water management practices, it would mean that if a drought does occur on that farmer's farm, the farmer would be in a position to respond a lot better to that drought than what he would have been previously if he didn't improve his water management practices. What that means for an insurance company is that it reduces the risk of a potential drought claim because the farmer has got better management practices in place, so his risk is reduced. It then makes him almost more appetizing for an insurer to insure.
As we see the effect of climate change and global warming, I think we realize more and more that we really need to do something to address the risks in our supply chain. If we as a food retailer want to be selling food 20 years down the line, we really need to start addressing issues like poor soil health, water scarcity, and lack of biodiversity on farms. We need to start addressing those issues now.
We've tried the engineering solutions. We've seen the impact of increased paved areas and concentrating storm flows into drains and directing them into rivers, and allowing unplanned development without any concern for the removal of the waste. Or how can we contain the polluted flows from those areas? And using natural processes gives us an alternative. Wetlands, grasslands, those kinds of things. We see they are more, I can't think of the word. They've got a better chance of succeeding. They're more resilient, that's the word I'm looking for. They can do things that engineering structures can't do. They're not that easily damaged, and if they are damaged, they recover and restore themselves. So.
What I would love to see is more role players in the area coming together and collaborating. I think to me it would look like having retailers, suppliers, big plantations, sugar growers, sort of people from different sectors coming together and collaborating on how they manage one area.
Engikufisayo njengomtshali ukuthi njengoba ngingusomabhizinisi ngumtshali osemncane ukuthi ngumtshali ngifundiseke ngokusebenza umhlabathi, ngiphinde futhi ngifundiseke ngokwazi ukubeka imali ukuthi ibekwa kanjani, ngoba kubatshali ke singanganabo abancane umuntu ugcina esefelwe yizivuno ngenxa yokuthi akafundisekile ngebhizinisi, akazi ukuthi imali ibekwa kanjani, akazi nanokuthi leso sitshalo kufanele esitshalile sisetshenzwa kanjani. Mengase sithole uqeqesho uhulumeni noma asilethele abazosifundisela emakhaya singazokhokha imali, bezosifundisa ukuthi isitshalo sikwenziwa kanjani, uma usutshalile imali uyibeka kanjani ebhenki, ngoba uthola abanye bayatshala behambisa imali emabhenki kodwa imali igcina seyidlekile ngoba bafundisekile ngazo.
For the next 5 years, it's really a matter of building on the successes we've had to date, understanding some of the challenges in the midst of those successes, trying to work out if our freshwater monitoring system can help us understand some better management treatments that we can put in place, and just understand how we can continue to work with neighbours in the landscape, as well, not just only looking internally at ourselves in Mondi, but through the WWF Mondi partnership and the Mondi Wetlands program, understanding of these practices can be implemented at a landscape scale.
I'd like to see the dairy industry move in a specific direction to continue advocating the family farming concept and to bring profitability back into into the dairy farming sector. So it's very important for us to make the dairy industry very viable again.
For me, the dream would be, or the perfection would be, where we have dealt with the pollution issue. Not that we would have housed everybody and built conventional engineering works, but we would have used the natural environment to treat the effluent. We would have recovered some of the damage caused by this unplanned development, recovered the grasslands, removed the invasive aliens, done a deal with the farmers and found a way to recover those wetlands and restore them so that we restore the base flows and retain water in the catchment. So it's a kind of rehabilitation of the catchment with the impact of improved quality and more water in the river.
Together with the people that I work with, be they farmers, be they industrialists, be they government workers, or other NGOs, recognizing that we all have different values, beliefs and ideologies, and that together we can try and cross boundaries and trying to understand each other and work together to co-create solutions to problems that are continually changing, and recognizing that sustainability is a journey, continual learning journey towards continual improvement. And then we never actually reach that end point of sustainability, but we work towards it.